welcome to Flavour Text, a podcast where we examine the intersection between lore, story and gameplay in Arkham Horror, the card game. I'm CrabbyTerror8 and I'm joined as per usual by my greatest co-host, Kevling. Hello Kevling, how are you?
I'm fine, CrabbyTerror. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good, thank you. Sorry, that was a very boring word, but it seemed quite appropriate for the scenario.
I'm the greatest podcast assistant you've ever had on this podcast. There's been so many of us.
That's right.
But we've had 2 guests and that was it. Yeah.
We are legends in our own lunchtime, Kevling, aren't we?
That's right. Yes.
How have you been?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, things are going well over here. Well, yeah, things are going all right. Weather's getting colder. We're heading into winter. We're recording this on Sunday, the 10th of November. Here it's almost 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's a nice 8 degrees Celsius.
Ooh.
Yeah. As I look at you in your t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts and shorts. Whoa. Yes. And apparently,
how are things with you?
Yeah, good. Yes, we are apparently in for a scorcher of a summer this year. It's already been 44 degrees, I think, in Queensland.
Wow.
The hottest spring for a long time, apparently. So we can look forward to 40 plus degrees days coming up, I think. We're all just bracing ourselves for that. So, yeah.
Good old global warming. Eh?
Global warming, that's right. And have you been playing much Arkham or other games recently?
Well, I think last time we spoke, we were struggling to arrange our kick-off game of the Return to the Forgotten Age. We actually did it last weekend, but then we had to abandon it halfway through because one of the players had a family emergency. So we literally played the start of The Untamed Wilds.
Okay.
Then it was just a case of taking photos so that we could resume. I think we're doing it again next week.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm playing Kaimani Jones, that's who I am.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd go in with someone with high evade. Can't get much higher than can you?
No, that's a pretty smart play to go with high evade. So
It actually turned out when we looked around the table, all 3 of us were playing rogues, so this is going to be quite entertaining. What about you? Have you done much Arkham?
A bit, yeah. So carrying on with the Innsmouth conspiracy, which is all high evade investigators. So all 4 of us are playing high foot kind of investigators. Yeah. So it's kind of an all feet challenge, if you like. So we just did the what's the one in the car where you what's it called?
I forgot what it's called, but it's the one where you go along the road and it keeps forking.
Exactly. So we just did that, and I really like that one. It's good. And then also did it was Arkham Knights. We did which I played Charlie Kane for, and that was what's the one that's sort of in multiple times, like. You're playing different tables, play past, present, and future, or whatever. Yeah.
So I think it's Machinations.
That's the one.
End of Time or something like that.
Yeah. So I had a really great time.
Of Time.
Yeah, with that one. So that was a lot of fun and things. So I played that one. Yeah. So.
Yeah, our local store didn't do an Arkham Knights. They usually do one. Don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
They had one in Nottingham, but it was on a night I couldn't make it.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, so a bit of Arkham, and also our local Jason, who's a friend of mine and a local organizer, has also organised for a printing of two kind of homebrew campaigns. One's Bloodborne. I didn't know that existed. I'm like, whoa, yes, please. And Alice in Wonderland. So he's organising to get that all printed up on cards. So I'm really looking forward to the Bloodborne one. I'm going to try and give that a go this summer. My daughter's a big Bloodborne fan as well, so we might have a go at that one. So yeah, that'll be a bit different, sort of Georgian era Cthulhu.
Yeah, someone in Nottingham kindly sent me all of the print and play investigators in print format the other week. They just happened to post on Facebook, I've got a spare copy, does anybody want them, just for the postage?
Wow.
I said, oh, I'll grab them.
Yeah.
And then in the end he says, oh, postage was cheaper than I thought it was, I'll just send them.
Wow.
So,
Brilliant. Wow.
yeah, really.
Yeah.
I'm happy to send you some money just to cover your time, and you obviously bought them in the first place. But
Wow. That's
yeah, I think, and one of them is Susie the Blob, so I'm looking forward to giving her a try.
Yeah.
I bet that's quite good fun.
Yeah. We went through a local game place. We went through like the scenarios, the special scenarios and things, and they're really good using old scenarios and in old campaigns and things. They're fantastic, really good.
I'll have to give
That's
those
brilliant.
a go.
Wow, fantastic.
Excellent.
And have you been?
What about non-Arkham stuff? What else have you been up to?
Still playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm really getting into it now. I spent 2 hours yesterday stalking a squirrel because it had to be a perfect squirrel. So you had to stalk it,
you
and
don't
then
want to damage the pelt.
no, don't want to damage the pelt, and then using a special bow and arrow to hit it in the head, and then mail off. I had to actually mail off a perfect squirrel carcass and a perfect rabbit carcass. I'm like, I'm either playing dominoes or I'm shooting animals in the head and skinning them. That's all I'm doing half the time, but I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying playing it. So. The only thing that's slightly annoying about it, but that's Rockstar, is that I'm just going along, just minding my own business, trying to skin animals or something. But then something will happen. A stagecoach will stop and people start shooting, and before I know it, I'm in the middle of in the middle of some kind of shootout or something. I'm like, I didn't ask for this. I don't want to do this.
Leave me alone. I'm just killing my wildlife.
That's right. And then suddenly the sheriff's after me and there's a bounty on me. I'm like, no. But I'm enjoying it. So
excellent.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I finally finished off Marvel's Midnight Suns. That was good. I can't remember whether I've mentioned it on a previous podcast or not, or whether I was just talking to someone else. But what I was doing with Marvel's Midnight Suns is you can build up your friendship with each character so that you unlock a special outfit for them. You do a challenge and then you can have a special outfit. I'm that close. I'm going to get. I know everybody goes into the final mission. Let's get everybody in their special outfits. So I spent hours that week, just finished off the last few. And then when I launched the final mission, I could tell from the way the dialogue had gone, you would have got them anyway. Just for that final mission, and then the unlocking would probably if you wanted to carry on afterwards. But it's like, I've just wasted about 6 hours this week just unlocking all of these final outfits. But never mind. But no, that was good. I played a lovely little indie game called Caravan Sandwich, which came out on Steam the other month, which basically has you trekking around this little open world in a little yellow minibus, collecting things, doing missions for people. It's got absolutely no fail state in it whatsoever, so you can't die, there's no damage, there's no combat. It's just a nice little pleasant collectible open world RPG type thing. There's got some little puzzly explory elements and things. Really, really nice little game that. I think they're my main gaming things over the last month. I've been dipping into a few other bits and bobs, but nothing's particularly grabbing me at the moment. I'm trying Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor. I've tried it a few times in the past, but never really got into it. So I'm giving it another go. See if it sticks.
I enjoyed that very much.
So far.
Yes, I'm very keen to play Silent Hill 2, the new version.
Or the remastered version or remade version, should I say?
Yes, I'm a big fan of the Silent Hill franchise. So that'll be after Red Dead Redemption. That'll be my next thing that I'm gonna do. So
I was looking forward to Star Wars Outlaws, but the reviews were quite middling. So I'm just waiting till it comes down in price. And I'll just pick it up cheap and give it a go. And my wife has been desperately waiting for the next Assassin's Creed, and that's now been delayed till next February.
Oh, okay.
It's like her favourite franchise, that is. She'll play hundreds of hours of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it is.
So they did the one last year, was it Mirage, which
Yes.
was almost like a throwback to the old format of Assassin's Creed. And she was most upset at how short it was. I finished it already, I've only done 40 hours.
I played the one set in Egypt. That was pretty good.
Yes, is that Origins?
Yes.
I think that's the first of the sort of big RPG style ones, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, with the Dark Soulsy like combat and things. I had this idea of, because I bought them all, doing the whole lot from the beginning right through, but I kind of got petered out after number 3 because I played them back in the day. But there's so much to do in them. It's like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you really like them, it's great because there's so much of it, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, it's brilliant. There's always stuff to do, searching little treasure boxes and doing this, that, little quests, and it's brilliant. Yeah, awesome. All right, so where were we, Kevling? Where had we gotten up to in our campaign here with the Circle Undone?
So, if I remember right, we'd recently been wandering around the woods and the graveyard, hadn't we?
That's right, yes. Why had we gone there? We didn't know, but we'd gone there and didn't really learn.
It was a perfect logical leap to find out about witches, was to go and look around a graveyard where witches were buried. That is the best place to find information on current witch activities in the locality.
Yes. And what did we learn again? I'm trying to remember. I think, nothing.
No, we might have got a couple of mementos, I think.
That's
I can't remember.
Yeah, a couple of mementos, and that was about it, yes. And again, it sort of ended with no kind of, okay, this is where you're going next, this is what you're doing next. It was just like, okay, done. And then... but I was very delighted to see that the next scenario for the greater good is actually going to do something that I've been for the greater good that I've been hoping we would do for a long time, and we actually got to do.
Go back to the Silver Twilight Lodge.
At
You've
last.
been saying it for about 4 episodes. When are we going back to the Silver Twilight Lodge? When are we going back to the Silver Twilight Lodge?
Well,
Kevin, when are we going back to the Silver Twilight Lodge?
that's right. And listeners can be forgiven for thinking I should have known that, but I haven't played this scenario, this campaign in so long. I'd forgotten that we go back to that, so I'd completely forgotten. I was just playing it in the moment, like, oh, where are we going to? So, yes. So we are back at the Silver Twilight Lodge. Yay!
Yay. So, Introduction 1. Ever since your brush with death at Hangman's Hill, the situation in Arkham has only worsened. In the days since, there has been more reports of ghost sightings and even several more disappearances. A thin layer of grey mist lingers over the streets at all hours, day and night. As soon as the sun begins to set each evening, doors are shut and locked. Without truly realising why, very few people dare venture out at night. Some businesses have even closed their doors to customers during the day, citing poor weather. Things are getting out of hand. Check the campaign log. So if we are members of the lodge, we read Introduction 2. If we're enemies of the lodge, we read Introduction 3. Or if we learn nothing of this lodge's schemes, we're bumbling through knowing nothing, we skip to Intro 4.
And if we've been never seen or heard of again, we do Intro 5.
Oh yes, sorry, I didn't see that one. Yes.
That's great. I don't know. I don't remember this option of never being seen or heard of again. So this must be.
I think it was
back in the lodge before, wasn't
it? In the mist.
Yes.
I think we got killed in the mist or something like that. We never got out of the house.
Yes,
when we went back. I think it was that one.
Is it just me, or is that Intro 1 feel a lot like Ghostbusters? when the ghosts all start breaking out and going around the city and things, and it feels a bit like that, doesn't it? Everyone's really scared. And okay, so shall I read intro 2? This is the one if we
Yeah, sure.
are members of the lodge, so we're sort of on their
Yeah.
side. The creature that appeared at the lodge's charity gala is clearly not bound to Joseph Miger's manor, which means the horrors you've experienced could just be the start of something much worse. It's time to report your findings to the Silver Twilight Lodge. Perhaps they can help interpret the knowledge you've gathered and inform you as to what your next step should be. With their help, you may be able to save Arkham. Yeah, there's the Ghostbusters, isn't it? And so what we have learned, it's telling us, even though we didn't know this, but it's telling us that we have learned that the creature wasn't associated with the manor, was a separate kind of entity kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which doesn't feel like a huge insight. Like I wasn't under the impression that it was somehow linked to the manor. Was that a thing? I don't know. But anyway.
I mean, I suppose it turned up in the prologue, didn't it? And it turned up in when we went back.
It did.
But
That's
obviously
true.
we weren't at the prologue, so we
Yes.
wouldn't have made that connection then.
No.
So we saw it once there, and we saw it once somewhere else, I think. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Was it just there?
I notice with this narrative, there's this weird thing about what we know as the players, what the investigators know and don't know, and it's all a bit kind of confusing sometimes about what we know and don't know. It's kind of, so this is an example of that. So it's now telling us what we're supposed to know. And then check the campaign log. If the investigators are deceiving the lodge, remember we could deceive the lodge, read the sidebar below, otherwise skip this sidebar. Though you suspect the lodge has other interests, the lodge clearly I see. So you're supposed to say, with their help you may be able to save Arkham ... Though you suspect the lodge has other interests, the lodge clearly knows more about what is happening than they care to admit. There is a sinister purpose that lurks beneath the surface of the lodge, and you intend to discover what that purpose is. So that's the intro 2.
Yes, intro 3 as if we are enemies of the lodge. The creature that appeared at the lodge's charity gala is clearly not bound to Joseph Miger's manor, which means the horrors you've experienced could just be part of something much worse. You're not sure why just yet, but you know the Silver Twilight Lodge is connected to the creature in some way. Perhaps it's time to pay the lodge a visit, with or without their permission.
Yes, and then intro 4, which is if we have no idea what's going on, we're just sort of we're bumbling along. So intro 4 is, you can't help but wonder if you missed something important in the home of Joseph Miger. The 4 disappearances that occurred at the lodge's charity gala could not have been a coincidence. If those victims encountered a creature like the one you saw at the graveyard, that's where we saw it,
There you go.
graveyard. The horrors you've experienced could just be the start of something much worse. You're not sure why just yet, but you're sure that the Silver Twilight Lodge is connected to these events in some way. Perhaps it's time to pay the lodge a visit, with or without their permission.
And then the last one was where the investigators were never seen or heard from again. Too many disappearances have occurred at Joseph Miger's estate for it to be a coincidence. First, the 4 victims at the charity gala, then the ones who attended a benefit dinner 1 week later. If they encountered a creature like the one you saw at the graveyard, I think the rest is the same then, isn't it? Yeah,
It is,
could be the start of something much worse. You're sure that Silver Twilight's connected. Let's pay them a visit.
Yeah. So then that's all proceeding to set up, and setup is reasonably straightforward. The main thing is the Act 1A that you start with is dependent on whether you're sort of friends with the lodge or you're not, basically, isn't it?
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, and there's alternate versions of the first 3 locations as well.
Yes, exactly. So so they're that's the main difference between them. The other thing do we have keys in any other scenarios, or is this where keys are first introduced?
This is the first time, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So that was interesting to see that, because of course now with been doing the Innsmouth conspiracy, keys are sort of well-known mechanic, pretty good mechanic. I think I like the way keys sort of work in scenarios. You have to get all the clues, and then you can automatically gain a key.
And there's such an integral part of Innsmouth that they introduce special tokens just for them, whereas here we're reusing chaos tokens, aren't we?
Exactly. But I think they operate exactly the same as in Innsmouth.
Yeah.
So that was interesting that popped up in this particular scenario. So that was an additional piece there around that. So and that's all really, apart from the keys bit. It's all fairly straightforward.
So shall I pick up the, I'm not sure whose turn it is in reading now. Anyway, I'll pick up the agenda.
Yeah, great. Yep.
Agenda 1A, the Hierophant 5. Adapt your beliefs and be open to new truths. You are expected to conform. Do not stray from the path. So forced, when you defeat a Silver Twilight enemy, you leave behind some evidence of the scuffle. Move a doom from each enemy at that location to the current agenda. And it is an 8 threshold.
Yeah. So that's sort of nerfing you, or trying to sort of inhibit you from just going in and just killing lots of Silver Twilight enemies, basically, isn't it? It's,
yes, unless you've got a way of removing the doom.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Act 1A, if you're a friend of the lodge, you get the warm welcome version, which is you've arrived at the lodge manor in French Hill to see if they'll help you piece together the evidence you've collected. Perhaps you can even speak with the president of the lodge again. But as you approach the manor, you begin to wonder if this was a test of your loyalty all along. 3 clues per investigator. So that's called warm welcome.
Okay. And if you're enemies of the lodge, you get the infiltrating the lodge version.
Mm-hmm.
The lodge is up to something, you're sure of it. You're not exactly sure what their plans entail, but your suspicions have proven correct so far. You've decided to sneak into the lodge's manor in French Hill to learn what they are plotting. And on this one, this is what I was hinting at earlier. After you evade an enemy, you can remove all doom from it. Mm. So I guess it's a way of balancing whether you should be attacking the Twilight enemies or not.
Yes, of course, because if you're a friend,
so obviously if you're friends, you're not going to want to be going in killing all of the Silver Twilight enemies. It's going to make it harder for you by adding doom to the agenda. Whereas at least if you're enemies of the lodge, you've got that mechanism. You can evade them to remove the doom from the enemy, which then means if you do need to kill them, you're not going to add to the doom threshold.
Yes, yeah. Interesting that it's if you're enemies, it's easier to complete Act 1A. It's only 2 clues per investigator rather than 3. You'd kind of think it would be the other way around, really, wouldn't you? You'd think if you're a friend of the lodge, it would be easier to do things. So, yeah, interesting.
Well, but looking at we'll come to the locations in a minute. There are a lot less clues if you're enemies.
Okay, that's why.
So I guess that's what it is. I suppose if you're enemies, you'll be wanting to try and find some evidence or something to help you, whereas you don't need to find anything if you're friends. You're just walking in and having a good old chat.
Look around. Yeah, true. Exactly. Yeah, so there we go. So we're either we're kind of infiltrating the lodge either way. It's just that in one version we're being welcomed with open arms, and then in the other we've got to kind of sneak in, right?
Yes.
Yep. Cool.
So we start with 5 locations in play. So the lodge gates, the lobby, and the lodge cellar. Mm-hmm. They're the 3 that have 2 different versions. Then the lobby leads on to the lounge, and the cellar leads on to the catacombs. And then it all branches off from there, it looks like.
To get into the lodge, you need clues if you're not welcome. That's the difference. So you need 1 clue per investigator as a group to reveal the lodge cellar. So you're going through the lodge cellar if you're infiltrating. Whereas if you're expecting you don't. You, like you say, you've got free reign of the first 3 locations or whatever. Does that make sense? So what's happening in the
Yes.
infiltration is you're sneaking in through the cellar, but you need clues to get in. Yeah.
Right. So the total number of clues needed to progress is the same on
Yes.
both. It's just that you have to spend some to get inside
Yes, exactly.
on the enemies.
Exactly. It's actually all the same. It's just redistributed differently. That's all. So if we've been expecting you don't have to sort of sneak through the cellar or anything like that. You can just go through the front door, straight through the gates. And the lodge gates has the following flavour text. As you approach the gates of the lodge's manor in French Hill, you are surprised to see several automobiles parked nearby in the street. Light shines in several of the windows of the manor. Is there a gathering of some sort here tonight? And so the lodge gates, and I think that's where you start. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
It's two shroud, no clues. Enemies cannot spawn at the lodge gates. It's got a resign action. On second thoughts, maybe coming here was a bad idea. So you can just stop there. The headquarters of Silver Twilight Lodge is a gorgeous Victorian mansion in French Hill overlooking most of the city. Lights flicker beyond its prominent stained glass door. So that's the lodge gates. So you pop through there.
Just going to say, I'll just chip in with the lodge gates on the members only version. It's actually absolutely identical. The only difference is it's got one clue per investigator on it. All the text and the actions are the same.
They're the same. So I suppose what it's trying to kind of convey is you're sneaking around the front of the place trying to work out how to get in.
Sorry, the only difference is the friendly lodge gates is connected to the lobby because you can walk into the lobby as you're being expected, whereas the members only version is only connected to the cellar. We're having to sneak in through the cellar because we're not allowed to go into the lobby.
Yes. Yeah, that's the difference. So if you're being expected, on the lobby, it says the entrance to the Silver Twilight Lodge is guarded. You cannot enter the lobby, but it says that the lodge gates gain action parley. The guards recognize you from the Migra estate and let you pass, reveal the lobby. The front entrance to the lodge's manor is guarded by two men in trench coats who nod to you as you approach. So basically it just takes a single action and a parley and they let you in. That's all. And then if you flip the lobby, it's just a 3 shroud, no clues per investigator location. It's a lovely lobby, all adored in wood, and it says the guards step aside and allow you to enter the lobby. Mr. Sanford has been expecting you, one of them says cryptically. The interior of the mansion is clean and well kept, as you would expect from Arkham's most prestigious social club. Plaques and pictures and other trinkets adorn the wooden walls, hinting at the lodge's long and storied history. So you can go from the gates into the lobby with a simple parley, and then off the lobby are various other places which we'll get into, but then there's the cellar, which is off the lobby, which has several locked windows along the basement level of the manor reveal the dark cellar within. And so this is a 3 shroud, 1 clue per investigator location. Force after the lodge cellar is revealed, place 1 random set-aside key on it. And it says the cellar of the lodge contains only a large wine rack and several unmarked barrels. A heavy steel door bars your passage deeper into the basement. You almost don't want to know what lies beyond it. Almost. Okay, so that's the we've been expecting you versions of the Silver Twilight Lodge.
Right, and then if you're doing the infiltrating the lodge act, so you've got the members only version of these. We've done the lodge gates already. The lobby simply says the front entrance to the lodge's manor is guarded by 2 men in trench coats. Perhaps there's another way into the building. And the lobby isn't connected to the gates anyway, so we can't get to the lobby. So our only option is to go to the cellar. The rear entrance to the Silver Twilight Lodge is hidden. You cannot enter the lodge cellar. Lodge gates gains action. Investigators at the lodge gates can spend 1 clue per investigator as a group to reveal the lodge cellar. Several windows along the basement level of the manor reveal the dark cellar within. So there are 1 clues per investigator at the gates, and then you need to spend those 1 clues per investigators to get into the cellar. And then when you reveal the cellar, it's got 3 clues, 3 shroud, no clues. Get it the right way around. You slip through an unlocked window into the building's cellar. It contains only a large wine rack and several unmarked barrels. A heavy steel door bars your passage deeper into the basement. You almost don't want to know what lies beyond it. Almost. I could have just said that was exactly the same, couldn't I? But there you go. I read the whole lot. Anyway.
Oh, it is slightly different, isn't it? Because it says you slip through an unlocked window.
Oh, I suppose,
yeah.
yes.
So
yeah.
slightly different in text.
Yeah. But interestingly, if you're friends of the lodge, there's clues for you to find in there. But if you're enemies of the lodge, there's not. So then, yes, we get into the lobby. The members-only version of the lobby. It is 3 shroud, 1 clue per investigator. Again, forced after the lobby is revealed, place 1 random set-aside key on it. The interior of the mansion is well kept, as you would expect. And I think it's the same flavour text as on your side.
So if you're infiltrating, the key is in the lobby. If you're not, the key is in the cellar. So the key's in a slightly different place. So there you go.
Yeah. Interesting.
You know,
and there are also clues to be found in the lobby if you are enemies, but not if you are friends.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's pretty much the same, but it's just slightly different to kind of reflect the story about whether you're sneaking in or you're not. Basically, you know, that's all it is, really.
And then, irrespective of which versions we have played, there are then also the lounge and the catacombs locations in play. So the lounge is the moon shape, which is connected to the lobby.
Yep.
And the catacombs is the little squiggle.
Yes.
Which is connected to the cellar.
Yes, and you can't go into the catacombs unless it's locked. You have to have a key.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
Whereas the lounge is, as you approach the staircase leading to the 2nd floor of the mansion, you smell burning candle wax. It is quiet enough that you can hear the gentle crinkling of a page being turned. And I'll reveal 2 shroud, 2 clues per investigator. Forced after the lounge is revealed, put the set-aside vault and library locations into play. Put the set-aside August Lindquist asset into play in the lounge and put a random key on him. As you enter the warm lounge, you spot an elegantly dressed man reading by the fire. To your surprise, he pays you almost no heed whatsoever.
So it's sort of... You very quickly get the idea that the catacombs are where you probably need to go, but you can't get in there straight away, right? You can't... So you can't...
At least if you're friends of the lodge and you make your way to the cellar, there is a key in the cellar.
Correct.
So then you can just go straight on into the catacombs.
Yes.
Whereas if you are enemies of the lodge, the key is in the lobby.
Yes.
Which is slightly further away. So you probably end up naturally exploring the left-hand side of the map if you're enemies of the lodge at first, because that's where you are.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you'd be having to double back, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, once you know this scenario, you could do it much more efficiently, right? You could be able to sort of forge ahead quite fast if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So August Lindquist, he seems like he's not really bothered much by the fact that we're here, no matter who we are. He's there with a key on him, and he has he's a cultist, but he's elegant and elusive. So he's just sort of sitting there having a drink. Investigators at August Lindquist's location can spend 2 clues per investigator as a group parley. Each investigator who's spent at least 1 clue must either take 1 damage or 1 horror, remove August Lindquist from the game, and take control of his key. And he says, I don't really care what you're doing here, but perhaps we can make an arrangement. So, yeah, he's kind of like, what would you call him? Neutral evil in a sort of RPG way. He doesn't give a shit, really. He's happy to hand over the key. So that's August for you. Yes.
So yeah, so he was in the lounge.
He's in
wasn't
the
he?
lounge, correct. Yeah, just by the fire.
Just wondering whether now we should progress the act slightly. See what
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So if I just take the infiltrating the lodge version, because that's got the lower number of clues on it.
Yes.
That flips over to the indoctrination. At first, your investigation yields few answers. There is indeed a meeting of some sort happening at the manor tonight, though you're not sure why. Finally, you catch a break. On a nearby table, a written summons explains the reason for tonight's gathering. That's convenient, isn't it? Our timetable has moved forward. We must complete the trap by midnight tonight. The device we found will aid us in binding the revenant, so it is imperative that we find a way to open it before the ceremony begins. We have no time to waste with prudence or cowardice. Report to Nathan Wick in the sanctum at once. You're left with more questions than answers. So if the inner sanctum is not in play, put it into play. Spawn Nathan Wick, enemy in the inner sanctum, master of indoctrination side face up, and attach the puzzle box to him. And then for the remainder of the game, the current act gains as a reaction. After you evade an enemy, remove all doom from it and place this card next to the act deck as a reminder. And then advance to Act 2A.
Yep. So pretty much telling you pretty quickly what you need to do, right? We'll get hold of this puzzle box or whatever. The Act 1B, the sort of Friends of the Lodge version is called the Initiation. It's you. You're approached by a member of the Lodge whom you recognise, one of Carl Sanford's bodyguards from your previous meeting with the President. I regret to inform you that Mr. Sanford and the other members of the Lodge are busy with an important task at the moment. I would suggest you come back at a later time. You tell the man that your task is important and offer to help in return for a meeting with Mr. Sanford. He considers you for a moment and then nods. All right, we're attempting to open a device which we believe will help us bind the revenant you encountered earlier. You'll want to speak with Nathan Wick if you want to help. You can find him in the library upstairs. You thank him and turn to leave, but he grabs your arm and stops you, adding one final warning. You should know that we intend to open this device at any cost. If you cannot stomach the consequences once again, I suggest you leave. If the library is not in play, put it into play. Spawn the set-aside Nathan Wick enemy in the library, master of initiation. Side face up and attach the set-aside puzzle box story asset to him. So in the library rather than in the sanctum, if we're friends of the Lodge.
It's kind of mirroring the setup, isn't it? So if you're more likely to have been coming down the left into the upstairs locations, it's going to send you over to the right into the cellar.
Yes.
Whereas if you're doing the friendly approach and you're going into the cellar, it sends you upstairs into the library.
Yes, exactly. Different places.
So whichever happens, whichever route we take, and our paths have converged now, haven't we? We've got to find Nathan Wick.
Correct.
And understand what's going on with this puzzle box.
Correct. So, indeed.
Act 2A, obtaining the device. Whatever the Lodge is planning, it involves a device that they will do anything to open. It seems a Lodge member by the name of Nathan Wick holds the device at the moment. One way or another, you have to get your hands on it. Objective: if Nathan Wick is added to the victory display by any means, choose an investigator to take control of the attached puzzle box and advance. Okay, so he's either at the inner sanctum or the library. So do you want to take the inner sanctum?
If Nathan Wick is down in the catacombs, first of all, you have to have any key. You have to control any old key to get in.
Yeah.
And they're random.
And there was one in the cellar which you just walked through if you've come that way.
Yeah, yes. So you're going to get one. It's going to be random. So you can unlock it. It says a windowless steel door blocks your way into the paths unknown. You get a feeling that this basement is much larger than it appears. And then the Lodge catacombs are foreshrouded, no clues. Force: when Lodge catacombs is revealed, put the set-aside inner sanctum and each of the set-aside sanctum doorways into play. And it says, beyond the steel door, a torchlit stone hall leads deeper underground. Compared to the polished wood upstairs, this area feels grimy and unclean. What the hell is this place? So you can't get into the inner sanctum without the cultist key. Now, you might have it by random. But it says at the end of the catacombs is a set of iron doors adorned with the symbol of the Silver Twilight Lodge. 3 arrows point upwards. Unsurprisingly, the doors are locked tight. So therefore, you've got to go into the 2 sanctum doorways, which say the same thing. Beyond a stone archway lies an unmarked iron door, mocking you with untold secrets and hidden truths. So they both say that. And they are 2 different places. Do you want to read one of these?
Yeah, one of them is the ceremony room, the triangle. 3 shroud, 2 clues per investigator. It's lodge and sanctum traded. Forced, when the round ends, each investigator and each ally asset in the ceremony room takes a direct horror. Cancel this effect if an investigator in the ceremony room controls the skull key. So at the centre of this room lies an ornately carved stone altar. Blood drains from the altar through a series of channels in a mosaic stone floor.
Ooh.
And it's also victory 2.
There we go. Not a very nice place, but you get a couple of victory points. The other one is the holding cells. So after holding cells is revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a cultist enemy and spawn it in the holding cells and shuffle the encounter deck. So someone's been chucked in the holding cells. And that's 1 shroud and 1 clue per investigator. So that's that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far in what we've discovered, we need at least 2 keys. We need the skull key to be able to be safe in the ceremony room, and we need the cultist key to get into the inner sanctum.
Yes.
And I suppose one thing we haven't mentioned as well is some of the enemies that will be spawning will have keys on them.
Yes.
So it's not just a case of finding them in the rooms like we've talked about so far. There are other keys in play as well.
Yes, exactly.
So then on the other side of the map, then we've been through the cellar, the lounge, and the lobby, and then we've just reached. Connected to the lobby is it isn't. Connected to the lounge, sorry, is the library, which is the other potential location that Nathan Wick is at, depending on our approach. So for the library, it says a narrow windowless hallway slopes upward from the lounge, leading you to a tall wooden door. Library. 6 shroud, 1 clue per investigator. While you're investigating the library, if you control the tablet key, the library gets -3 shroud. So that's the 3rd key effect coming into play here. Even the lodge's library is arranged to showcase the organisation's wealth and power. There are hundreds of books among the room's tall, cramped shelves. Yes. And that's another victory location.
Yeah, exactly.
And that just connects back to the lounge again.
Yeah.
So there's nothing more to explore, I don't think, on this side of the map. Because that potentially is the location that Nathan Wick would be at.
Yep.
But on the... I'm going to get this the wrong way around. Is that the initiation side?
Yes, that's the initiation side rather than the indoctrination.
So, Master of Initiation, Nathan Wick. He is an enemy with 3 fight, 5 health, 4 evade. He has retaliate, but we have an action we can parley with him to test willpower of 3 to persuade him to let you find another option. If you succeed, place a resource on him. Then when there are 1 per investigator resources on him, add him to the victory display. And if you fail, he attacks you. So basically you need to successfully parley with him however many times there are investigators.
Yeah, exactly.
So talk to him twice if there's 2 of you, to put him in the victory display, which will trigger the advancing of the act.
Yep.
So do you want to take the other side of him?
Yeah, so the other side is if he's down in the indoctrination side, he's 4 fight, 5 strength, 3 evade. And after you evade Nathan Wick by 3 or more, he has alert. So if you fail that, he'll attack, right? You steal the puzzle box, add Nathan Wick to the victory display. So one's parleying and one's evading. So essentially you're kind of hiding from him and then essentially grabbing the puzzle box off him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the puzzle box itself, well, that's just an asset. It doesn't actually do anything at this stage, does it?
No.
I think the stuff that on there is potentially related to a future scenario.
It is absolutely. So
yeah. So we have successfully charmed the puzzle box out of Nathan Wick's hands, which puts Nathan Wick into the victory display.
Yes.
So we advance the act. There are three different options. Well, not options. Three different outcomes depending on how we got the puzzle box. So if we defeated him, you quickly pry the device from his hands and flee before you're noticed.
Yep.
If you evaded him, you wait until he's not looking and then you sweep in and steal it from the table next to him. You are long gone by the time he realises it's missing. Or if you parleyed with him, all right, listen, Nathan explains quietly. Truth is, there probably is a safer way for us to open the device. This building holds many secrets, more than I don't know why I'm doing this accent, more than you could possibly know. But time is running thin, and Mr. Sanford wants it open by midnight. If you can open it before then great. If not, well, if I were you, I wouldn't be around here when we try to force it open. He hands you the device and walks away, leaving you in silence.
Well, there you go. There you go. Sorry, am I taking the agenda now? Is that right?
We've not done the agenda at all. That probably makes sense to do the agenda, doesn't it?
Yeah, the agenda would have probably flipped, wouldn't it? So,
yes.
Meeting of minds. As you explore the building, you almost wander into a heated debate between several members of the lodge in a nearby hallway. Seeing an opportunity to learn more, you hide and eavesdrop on the conversation. Mr. Sanford's orders are to complete the Geist trap at any cost. See, it is very Ghostbuster. Isn't there Geist traps in Ghostbusters? And one of them says firmly, if that means we must put lives in danger, so be it. The good of the many outweigh the good of the few. Okay, the greater good. You know this.
The greater good.
Another member, a woman, pounds her fist on the wall. No! Our first resort cannot be to spill blood. There must be another way. There is no time, the other responds. And there is a murmur of agreement amongst the rest. It is clear that you do not have the will to proceed. Take her away. We will make her see what for herself the sacrifices that must be made for the greater good. No, you can't do this, a woman yells. You wince as her screams echo down the corridor. What are they planning to do? Discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck in player order. Each investigator must draw cultist enemy discarded this way. So a lot more cultists around after that. And then we're on to agenda 2A.
Yeah, so shall I take that? Ends and means. The lodge will resort to drastic measures in order to achieve their goals. If you don't act quickly, blood will surely be shed. Each Silver Twilight enemy in a Sanctum location loses aloof. Forced when you defeat a Silver Twilight enemy, so it's the same again, you leave behind some evidence. Move doom from each enemy to the agenda.
10. Wow, so it's being pretty generous with time, isn't it?
Yeah, but there are only those 2 agendas, so
yes.
Yeah, I guess that's 18 rounds in total, isn't it?
Yes. And then Act 3A is the device is nothing more than a locked puzzle box, just about large enough to hold a pair of shoes. The diagram on the surface depicts a broken pattern which can be manipulated to no apparent end, and there does not appear to be a keyhole of any kind. Objective investigators at the same location control the puzzle box, the skull key, the cultist key, the tablet key, and the Elder Thing key advance. So basically you've just got to hoover up all the keys.
We were incredibly lucky at this point,
yes.
weren't we? Because we actually had all 4 keys at the point we were dealing with Nathan Wick.
Yes.
So it's like, we took the puzzle box off him. Right, we've got all 4 keys then, off we go.
Yes.
Whereas, probably more realistically, you may still have 1 or 2 left to find that you've got to then go and investigate the other locations or deal with some of the enemies.
And to be fair, you made this point before. So Lodge Jailer spawns with a random key on him, and you can parley him to take control of his key. The Cell Keeper has a random set aside key. So there's lots of ways to get keys. Depending on, you'll get the keys you need relatively easily, actually.
Yeah, and every time a key spawns, it is always random as to which one of the available keys it's going to be.
Correct.
So you can't you can't metagame it by going, right, well, if I go here first,
Yes.
I know I'll be able to get the skull key, and if I go here next,
Exactly.
I'll be able to get the cultist key.
Yes.
It's always random, and obviously the enemies might be coming out of the deck before you discover locations that have got keys on. So it's sometimes some playthroughs they could always be on the locations, some they'll always be on enemies, some it'll be a mix of them both.
Yeah.
So there's always that random element.
Correct. But you can expect there's going to be a bit of running back and forth, and you're going to be dealing with some enemies where you can parley with them to get their keys. You're going to get some combination of the two, basically.
Yeah.
And it's pretty generous with time. It's not like you're going to be down to the wire with this one. I mean, we're pretty slow when we play. You know, we tend to, you know, not be the most efficient players, and we managed to do it okay. So, yeah. Yeah.
So let's say we were unlucky and we've not been able to sort the puzzle box out before these 10 Doom go on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
That would then flip to one of those nice ones where they do a nice big landscape piece of art.
Yes, lovely.
I do like that, yes. The greater good. The greater good. Revelation. Replace the act and agenda decks with the greater good. Spawn the set-aside summoned beast at the puzzle box location or any sanctum location if the puzzle box is not in play. Wow, can you imagine how bad this game must have gone if the puzzle box never even made it into play and you've gone through 18 rounds? And they've still not found Nathan Wick in his puzzle box. That must mean the act itself didn't advance. You never got past Act 1, wouldn't it? Because it's Act 1 would put Nathan Wick into play at either of those two locations. So you imagine you've been stuck on Act 1 for 18 rounds. I suppose they've got to cover every eventuality, haven't they?
Correct.
Yeah. Then remove the puzzle box from the game.
Yes. Not a good
I
outcome.
don't remember what the summoned beast is.
Nasty.
Like. The summoned beast. 5 fight, 6 health per investigator, 2 evade. Monster, Silver Twilight and Elite. He's got Retaliate and Hunter. He gets +1 fight, +1 evade, +1 damage and +1 horror for every 2 Doom in play. So I guess there's no Doom threshold now. He's just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger every other round, isn't he?
He is, yes, he is.
At the start of the enemy phase, Summoned Beast defeats all humanoid enemy at its location. Move all Doom from those enemies to Summoned Beast. An objective if he's defeated. Resolution 3.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That is the tough ending, isn't it?
That is a really tough ending, and I'm assuming that's Nathan Wick smiling there.
It looks like him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go. Yes. Not an outcome you want, and you know, most of the time it's probably not going to happen, so you're probably going to be okay. If you have the 4 keys, which is more likely, I think, it says, though the box itself seems to fight you at every turn with all 4 key components in your possession, you finally manage to piece together how to open the contraption. First you twist the lid. First you twist and contort the box's many mechanical devices until the image on its lid lines up perfectly with the diagram in your possession. That's the tablet. Next, you chant the Latin incantation described on the small wooden plaque you found. That's the cultist key. It takes a few tries to get it right, but eventually you hear a click and the surface of the wooden container shifts and changes. A round indentation has appeared on the side of the box, matching the size of your mysterious black onyx coin, which is the elder thing, and as soon as you place the coin inside, another wooden panel opens on the other side, revealing a keyhole. Finally, insert the key of bone, which is the skull key, into the keyhole and turn it. The lid begins to open, and suddenly the entirety of the room is engulfed in a rush of air as all light, colour, sound and matter is sucked into the box. Check the campaign log. If investigators are a member of the lodge, R1, otherwise R2.
Reading through that, I do like how it's built into the narrative there, how each of the individual keys is used to solve the puzzle box.
Yeah.
But on reading that, only one of them is a key.
Yes. That's right. The others are like plaques or coins. They're not actually keys.
So I was just looking back. So you need the coin to be able to get into the vault. So that kind of makes sense. You need the cultist to get into the sanctum. So that's the Latin incantation. So I guess that makes sense. You had to say that phrase out loud to get in. What other ones were there? The Lodge Catacombs was just any one of the four. I think they were the only ones, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's interesting there that they've even made what they were match the locations that you needed to get into. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's very nice.
So,
yeah,
shall we have a look at the
resolutions?
So if no resolution was reached, we either all resigned or were defeated. We managed to escape the building and flee on foot. As you run, you can hear a thunderous rumble coming from the manor. Several others burst through the door behind you, too preoccupied to notice you. One yells to her companions, "Get out and gather at the unvisited isle. We have to perform the binding rite with or without the device." That seems quite a clumsy sentence to be shouting to one of your companions in the panic, doesn't it? But "What about the Guardian?" the man at the gate asks. "It's no use," she replies. "Just go." And that is when the screaming begins. A spray of blood spatters against the basement window. Those who escape immediately panic and flee. You don't stop or look back. You run into the building. You run until the building has... You don't run into the building, no. You run until the building has faded behind the dense grey mist, until you can no longer hear the screams of those still inside, until your legs can barely move. Is this the kind of sacrifice the Twilight Lodge believes in making? And if so, what does this mean for the binding rite they seek to complete at the unvisited isle? In your campaign log, record the Guardian of the Trap emerged. Each investigator earns experience equal to victory, and then we skip the interlude 3, the inner circle, and proceed straight to scenario 6, union and disillusion.
If we get resolution 1, which I think is the good one, right? That's the one.
Yeah, that's we solve the puzzle box and we are members of the lodge.
Every fibre of your being is stretched as the box pulls you in. However, before it can accomplish its task, the lid is suddenly slammed shut by an elderly hand. We roll backwards and collapse into the pulling force ceases. When your senses finally return to you, Carl Sanford is standing over you, unflappable as ever. "I see you managed to open the device without defeating its guardian. How fortunate," he declares. He examines the box closely, removing the key and the coin from the container and recognizing them instantly. "I had a feeling that you would be a valuable asset to the lodge, but it seems I underestimated your resourcefulness. Perhaps it is time that you learn the truth behind our organization. I have a feeling you are destined for great things." Unexpectedly, Mr. Sanford hands the puzzle box back to you, along with the components that unlock it. "Come with me. There is much to discuss." There we go. He's our mate now. In the campaign log, record that investigators discovered how to open the puzzle box. Any one investigator may choose to add the puzzle box story asset to his or her deck. This card does not count toward that investigator's deck size, and it's got some stuff about braziers and things which just aren't part of this scenario, right? So it's giving you a hint that they're probably going to be used at some other stage. Proceed to interlude 3, the inner circle. We are in the inner circle of the Twilight Lodge, it would seem.
And then resolution 2, so that's the same outcome. So we've solved the puzzle box, but we are not members of the lodge. So again, same introduction. Every fibre of your being is stretched as the box pulls you in. However, before it can accomplish its task, you manage to reach out and slam the lid shut. You shudder uncontrollably as your senses slowly return to you. This box is more dangerous than you could have imagined. In the hands of the lodge, it could have been a powerful weapon, though you're not sure what they intended to do with it. Just then you hear several lodge members approaching. You quickly shift one of the room's bookcases aside and hide behind it before they enter the room. "You're sure you heard something in here? I don't see anybody," one of them says. The other pauses, presumably inspecting the room for signs of intruders. "Must have been nothing. It's all right. We're all a bit on edge since the trap box went missing. Come, we don't want to be late for the ceremony. Tonight is an important night." Their footfalls become softer as they depart. The man's words linger in your thoughts momentarily. What did he mean by tonight being an important night? This could be just as important as the puzzle box they had been attempting to open. You quietly follow the two men as they head deep into the tunnels beneath the lodge. You struggle to keep up with them while trying to keep your footsteps silent on the stone floor of the passageway. Finally they enter a large door with the familiar 3 arrows of the silver twilight emblazoned along its surface. Ritualistic chanting fills the hall from the other side. You approach softly, placing your ear against the door to listen in. Brothers and sisters, an elderly voice announces. I was going to say pump up the volume, but I suppose that's... thank you for coming to this hallowed gathering. This time we have long waited for approachers. You recognise the man's voice. It is Carl Sanford, president of the Silver Twilight Lodge. For many decades, the Order of the Silver Twilight has pursued knowledge that can elevate humanity. We have defended against threats to our very existence. We have sacrificed everything for this sacred cause. Now one of these threats terrorises our city, and once again we must do what has to be done in order to protect it. The crowd responds with solemn approval. Tonight we will complete the ritual we began many nights ago at the centre of the unvisited isle. Tonight we will finally bind the Revenant and learn what it knows. We must not allow the secrets of Azathoth to be lost to those who would do humanity harm. The cult replies with a monotone hymn, and you take this opportunity to flee the lodge before you are discovered. The conspiracy you have unveiled leaves you with even more questions. If the Revenant Mr. Sanford speaks of is what you think it is, binding it will surely protect Arkham as he claims. But what knowledge do they seek to learn from it? And what in the hell is an Azathoth? In your campaign log, record that we discovered how to open the puzzle box, so the rest of it's the same. Yeah, we get our victory points, but this time we skip the inner circle and go straight to union and dissolution.
Mm-hmm.
So we're only doing inner circle if we've solved the puzzle box and we have members of the lodge.
Resolution 3. The beast that had emerged from the box was a vicious guardian, slaughtering anyone in its path. Somehow you were able to slay the creature, but the consequences were dire. Many lodge members were gruesomely killed by the creature's rampage before you were able to put it down. Worse, the device it emerged from was destroyed beyond recognition. You're not sure whether it broke as a result of the beast's emergence or as a result of its death, but either way, it is a regretful outcome. This didn't work as planned, one of the robed members of the order states matter-of-factly as you examine the crushed puzzle box. That's a hell of an understatement, another adds. She places a hand on your shoulder and gently pulls you away from the remains of the device. Come on, that's a lost cause, she says. Her partner ignores your presence and stoically addresses her. We'll have to get to the uninvited isle and complete the binding rite without the trap. She nods and takes one last look at you before the remaining lodge members flee the building. It is the kind of sacrifice the Silver Twilight Lodge believes in making, and if so, what does this mean for the binding rite they seek to complete at the uninvited isle? In your campaign log, record the guardian of the trap emerged and was defeated. You get your victory and you skip interlude 3. So yes, so there we go. So a lot happened at the lodge. It wasn't just us going back and going, hey, we've got some new information. It was like there was all kinds of stuff going down. Yes.
Shall we go through the interlude
I think
as
so,
well then?
absolutely.
Because it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because that then ties in with the we solved
Correct.
the puzzle box. We're members of the lodge now. We're part of the inner circle.
Correct. Yeah.
So I'll read the start of it. Inner Circle 1, you've been brought deep into the inner sanctum where only the highest ranking members of the lodge are allowed. Mr. Sanford explains that the Order of the Silver Twilight is far older and more important than the public-facing Silver Twilight Lodge, and that their knowledge extends into the realm of the arcane and the obscure. For many decades, the Order of the Silver Twilight has pursued knowledge that can elevate humanity. We have defended against threats to our very existence. We have sacrificed everything for this sacred cause. Now, one of these threats terrorizes our city, and we are the only ones who can stop it. You know the creature I speak of. You nod in affirmation. Here is what we know. It was the witches who brought this abomination upon Arkham. We tried to stop their ritual, but unfortunately we were unsuccessful in binding it. Now it is loose, and we must finish what we started before the witches are able to do the same. But first, I understand that you may have some information for us as well. Please hand over what you have found. It is important that we collaborate in order to understand this situation. So now we've got to decide. We either give him everything we've found, which we proceed to Inner Circle 2, or tell him you have nothing to show. You are lying. Skip to Inner Circle 3.
So Inner Circle 2.
Do you want to take the next one?
Inner Circle 2, you show Mr. Sanford the evidence you've collected. Yes, I see. It is as I suspected, he murmurs as he inspects the trinkets. Cross off each memento listed under Memento Discovers. And it says, check the campaign log. If investigators rescue Joseph and the investigators told the lodge about the coven, proceed to Inner Circle 4. Otherwise, skip to Inner Circle 5.
So I guess it makes sense to look at those two now, just to follow that thread.
Yeah.
So Inner Circle 4, Carl Sanford grins and rises to his feet. You've proven yourself a loyal asset to our order. I believe it is time that you ascended to our Inner Circle. You approach and kneel before Mr. Sanford. He spreads his arms wide and declares, I hereby appoint you to the rank of Knight of the Inner Circle. Arise once more, Knight, and stand tall. You are now one of the elite guardians of humanity, keepers of truth and stewards of the Silver Twilight Order. Another member of the Order offers you a folded blue robe, and you don it solemnly. Now, I'm sure you have many questions for me. We do not have a lot of time to dawdle, but you deserve answers. What do you wish to know? You may ask up to 3 questions of Carl Sanford before his patience wears thin. One at a time in any order, choose and read up to 3 of the following passages and then proceed to Inner Circle 6. So do you want to take the first one?
Yeah, so the one question you can ask is, what is the creature? It is a powerful remnant left behind from one who perished long ago. The witches could only have summoned it if they had a strong connection to the soul it once belonged to, Mr. Sanford explains. It could only be one person, Keziah Mason herself.
Another question is, what do you want with the creature? First and foremost, we need to bind it to prevent it from doing further harm. That is paramount importance. Once it is bound, we may be able to learn the secrets it possesses without endangering ourselves or others.
Another question you can ask is, what do the witches want with the creature? I'm sure they wish to learn its secrets and draw from its power, he theorizes, stroking his beard. Perhaps allow one of them, their own, to become possessed by the spirit and hence gain power over life and death itself.
Did you know about the creature before the charity gala? In truth, yes, Mr. Sanford admits, but we did not know it would come to us. After interceding in the witch's summoning rite, we investigated the spectral mist that was left behind for several days. We likely drew too much attention to ourselves, and it was drawn to our presence. Not necessarily a bad thing in the end.
And then the final question you can ask is, where are the 4 missing people from the charity gala? Ah, yeah, those 4 people. Remember them? God only knows, Mr. Sanford replies with a sigh. Taken by the revenant, perhaps, or swallowed by the mist. He considers this for a while, then adds, I suspect that if they are still alive, they cannot be far from the revenant. For better or for worse, the anomaly seems localized around it.
Okay. And then, following that, asking of 3 of those questions, we proceed to Inner Circle 6. Mr. Sanford rises to his feet and the other members of the order follow suit. He addresses the members of the Inner Circle, yourself included. All right, we have no more time to spare. The ritual must be completed at once. We shall use the same site as before, the central pillar of the unvisited isle, where the barrier between this world and the next is thinnest. It is likely that the anomaly will pursue us there, so act with caution. He then turns directly to you and adds, the device you hold is the key to binding the revenant. I trust you to use it properly when the time comes. You and the other members of the circle nod in affirmation. Taking a deep breath to steel your nerves, you prepare for the journey to the unvisited isle, a journey toward death itself. In your campaign log, record the investigators were inducted into the Inner Circle and proceed to Scenario 6.
Now, Inner Circle 5... is if you rescued Joseph and told the lodge about the... Oh, no, if you didn't do those things, right? There's also this check campaign log. You may only ask the following question if the investigators survived the Watcher's embrace. Do you remember what that was? Where... I'm trying to remember what surviving the Watcher's embrace was.
That was in Scenario 4, Resolution 2.
Yep.
which was we were all defeated.
Right. The Watcher.
Resign to your fate, you're fall to your knees, the mist parts, the Watcher emerges.
Okay,
blah,
yes.
blah, blah. Then it says the moment passes. Have you been spared? So we record that we survived the Watcher's embrace. Any other mention to it?
That makes sense.
So
we can ask Carl Sanford, why are you looking at me like that? And Mr. Sanford clears his throat. It's nothing, he lies. Whatever that means. If we're in a circle 5, which means we didn't rescue Joseph and etc., then it's Carl Sanford gives the trinkets and strange components to another member of the inner circle who retrieves them with care and brings them upstairs. Thank you for your assistance in this matter. We are stronger together than apart, don't you agree? Mr. Sanford rises to his feet and the other members of the order follow suit. He addresses the other members of the inner circle. All right, we have no more time to spare. The ritual must be completed at once. We shall use the same site as before, the central pillar of the uninvited isle, where the barrier between this world and the next is thinnest. It is likely that the anomaly will pursue us there, so act with caution. Then he turns back to you. We will require your assistance as well, of course. The device you hold is the key to the binding the revenant. You must use it properly when the time comes. Do you understand? You nod in affirmation, taking deep breaths to steel your nerves and prepare for the journey to the uninvited isle, a journey towards death itself.
Okay. Is that it? Have we covered
No,
all the options
if you've
now?
got nothing to show, if you're lying...
Yes.
In a
so
circle
if you're lying,
3.
we go to 3. Yes, that was it. So you don't trust Carl Sanford with these pieces of evidence. Who knows what he intends to do with them? In the hands of the president of the Silver Twilight Lodge, any of these items could be a deadly instrument. You lie, informing him that your investigation has so far proven fruitless. He clenches his jaw and glares at you for a moment, his cold blue eyes staring daggers into yours. That is disappointing to hear, but perhaps it isn't my fault. I should not have imposed such a heavy burden on a neophyte to the order. And then I think the rest is the same. He rises to his feet, addresses the other members. We've no more time to spare. The ritual must be completed. Yeah, so I think it's all the same now, isn't it?
It is.
It's up to us to use the puzzle box at the right time.
Yes.
Go to... we record in the campaign log, we kept our mementos hidden.
Yes. And there we
there's
go.
An awful lot of narrative and text there, but very little of it is actually affecting the game, other than whether we've got the mementos or not.
Correct,
basically, isn't it?
Yes, it's basically explaining that the witches were bad, that they've unleashed something bad, and that the Twilight Lodge is trying to kind of stop that badness from happening. But the Twilight Lodge is not kind of pure as a driven snow either.
No.
But it feels the narrative in this campaign is just very clumsy. It's just this sort of narrative kind of avalanche that you're suddenly hit with after so many scenarios where you don't really know what's going on. I think I understand what they were trying to get at, that the idea that you're being pushed along by fate and you don't really know what's happening until such time as you suddenly kind of get told what's happening. You know what I mean? That's kind of how it feels. Yeah. Yes. So there we go.
There we go.
So,
I think overall, that's a really good scenario. I like it a lot.
Yeah. What do you like so much about it, Kevling?
I think I suppose it's like that sort of almost modular nature of where all the keys could be anywhere, and it's making sure you've got all the right thing. You actually feel like, I suppose it's like your typical RPG. You need the certain things to be able to advance, and you could get them from anywhere, and you're having to go to different locations and find them. And it's a bit more of an adventure almost. You're exploring things. You can't pass certain doors until you've got the right key, and all of these sorts of mechanical elements that all sort of come together to help tell the story. I think that's what I like. What about you? Yes,
exactly. In fact, I think this is the most enjoyable scenario I've had in this campaign, was this one, because it was a bit like, the the classic James Bond movies where they infiltrate the kind of the base and
Yes.
they run around trying to, and it felt like that. I mean, we had the infiltration one. I suppose it'd be slightly different if you were welcomed in the Twilight Lodge, but for me, it felt like we were kind of infiltrating the base, the enemy base, and kind of sneaking around trying to find this puzzle box. So it was a lot of fun getting the keys and sort of finding our way through it. So I really enjoyed it from that perspective. It was great. It really was.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the locations being different and the connections being different depending on what your personal situation is and your relationship with the lodge.
Yes.
So you have to take a different approach and a different way into the building, and the people will treat you differently and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Narratively, though, that big dump of sort of stuff, and you only get that actually if you're under certain circumstances. So you might be oblivious to a lot of this info. So you might go through this and still not really know what's going on. Sort of
I think the number of times I've played this, I've never come across all of that bit where I don't think I've ever sided with the Twilight Lodge.
Yes.
And I've always, if I have sided with them, I've taken the sort of lying option. So don't know.
And
so it feels like the game wants you to side with the witches against the Silver Twilight Lodge, the way the narrative has gone, until you get to this point where the narrative seems to be spun the other way round. But then again, I suppose you're hearing the story from one side, aren't you?
Yeah, you're right, because the witches, it's all played pretty even-handedly. You don't get the feeling that the witches are sort of some sort of evil force. If anything, like you say, you feel like the Twilight Lodge is the sort of evil force in the proceedings. And there's certainly nothing that gives you the idea, or at least I didn't think, that it was the witches who were somehow responsible for all this nasty stuff going on. But now it turns out they're the evil force, which is sort of...
maybe it's just perspective. That's how the Silver Twilight Lodge view them rather than how they actually are.
That's true, actually. That's very true. So so again, it's just all like I said, I really like this scenario, but just all a little bit clumsy from a narrative design perspective, I think. Okay.
Excellent.
So there we go. Well, next time we'll be off to the Uninvited Isle. We've been invited to the Uninvited Isle.
No, it's the Unvisited Isle.
Oh, Unvisited Isle. Sorry. Well, it is actually being visited, so it's kind of a very paradoxical name, isn't it?
The previously unvisited isle.
Yes. And presumably we'll be using the puzzle box in some form, shape or form, if you've got it when you get there. God knows what you do if you don't have the puzzle box. I can't imagine. It'd be interesting to see how they deal with that in the game if you actually don't have the puzzle box. I guess we'll find that all out when we visit that next time. Excellent.
We visit it. You use it on purpose,
That's right. So thanks everybody for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And next time Kevling and I will we'll play through, and then we will talk about the whatever it's called, the Unvisited Union and Disillusion, as it's called, and we'll see how that goes. But until next time, I'm CrabbyTerror8.
I'm Kevling.
Bye.
Bye. So once more, thank you for listening. We're on all the major podcast platforms, so please subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. If you have any feedback for us, you can email us on ftextpodcast@gmail.com or message us on Instagram and Threads at ftextpodcast. So on behalf of CrabbyTerror8 and myself, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.